So, late last night, I decided that before I would go back to sleep, because I actually had woken up in the middle of the night, to be perfectly honest, I actually looked at my Twitter. And sure enough, Trinity Pauling had posted a tweet talking about how they were having another advisor-advisee dinner. But this was no ordinary advisor-advisee dinner, as this was the final advisor-advisee dinner of not just the spring term, but of also the, Trinity Pauling school year. And I thought long and hard about, I've done a TP Tales on the advisor-advisee dinners and stuff like that, and that before. So I'm not really going to be saying anything that you didn't already hear in that video, for the most part. But there were other things, but it got me thinking. There really was a lot at, Trinity Pauling that, that I was able to do. Obviously, going to those dinners and, stuff like that. But there was also a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily get to do. So, well, really nothing to do that I didn't want to do. Just some of those things actually happened when, sports were going on, particularly in the pretty much every term. So I guess, what, I think I'll do it. I think I'll make this video a TP Tales. Happy Hump Day, everybody. So, what's this TP Tales going to be about? I mean, I've done chapel talks. I've done the advisor-advisee dinners. I have even talked about the tale of Big Sexy. But but there's just so many things that I could talk about that even with, actually, if given enough time, I could probably do enough videos on getting it all. But I want to talk about, some of the stuff that everyone on campus unanimously, loved to do. When they said that they were going to go do this or have fun doing something, they went out and did it. So, yeah. I guess you could call this one a day in the life, I suppose. So, I mean, what would you expect to hear from a video like this? I mean, you lived on campus and you went to class on campus, particularly in a place called the Dan Building, or the art building if you had theater or art of any kind. So, well, yes, we did, and we had sports too, but some people just didn't play sports, or some people didn't really do much. The biggest fear that you would have, at least that what the headmaster had mentioned when I was at Trinity Pauling, it's that the worst thing you can do when you're there is simply, go through the motions. And, I mean, for me, I didn't really feel that kind of strain because, I really was that busy, getting all my work done and, doing whatever sport I was doing. And in the evening when we were getting ready to do, the fall, winter, or spring shows, we were getting ready to do that. So there was no shortage of, stuff to do. But there are people who, would simply not do any of that stuff and just go through day by day, pretty much just getting their work done. Although sometimes some students were, unfortunately, not good about that, but that's neither here nor there. So what ended up happening was a lot of various clubs and sports things were going on at the time as well. In fact, for a brief while, I was actually in a club at one point myself. It was actually a movie club where we would pretty much on Sunday night just go watch a movie somewhere. The club didn't really last very long because not very many people signed up. But, it was still fun. I actually got to see Pineapple Express the second time at the Trinity Pawling. The first time was in the theater, but the second time was in the Trinity Pawling. So that was cool. But there are other things to do as well. I mean, I mentioned there are various clubs or I guess in a way you could sort of call them intramurals, because there was a running club, which ultimately where we ended up getting the late but always certainly great Sean Bertanza from, because he actually started off that running club, and then he's like, what are they doing cross country? They don't do a running club, and they tell him something like, not really anything different, and he's like, I'm going to do that, and that's how we got Sean Bertanza. That was really cool. I mean, I hated it at the time because I had just made the top 7, and now Sean Bertanza shows up, and I'm like, oh, how many people are going to keep showing up out of nowhere? This is what I was thinking at the time, by the way. So, there was that. During the winter, one really awesome thing that was going on is, I did mention the pond in which we played. Well, guess what? In the winter, that pond would freeze over. That's right, folks. They had ice hockey on the pond. And I mean, obviously they were smart about being safe about it. You gotta make sure that the ice was thick enough so that, you wouldn't fall through it, obviously. And, they had like a hockey tournament that was awesome. I mean, come on, doing a hockey on, above a frozen body of water. I mean, the only place I could think of, well, actually, in the place where I lived growing up, there's actually like a giant water reservoir where people ice fish. And I mean, Keuka College, up at Keuka Lake, that, people ice fish up there too. But, you just never, it's something that you never really get to see unless you actively try and seek it out. But at Trinity Pawling, I didn't even need to do that because, again, ice hockey was, going on the pond. I mean, actually, what baffles, like, I know Trinity Pawling had a hockey team, but if any of you guys who are on the hockey team at all, can answer this for me, were you able to do that as well, or was it just like, you can only do one thing or the other, but not both? I mean, because I can see the latter happening. I mean, we only had like a various collection of really good hockey players, so, being careful about what you're supposed to do outside of practice, I can see why you couldn't really do much else outside of it. But, yeah, so, ice hockey on the pond, that's awesome, and you're probably thinking, there was probably a lot of stuff to do in the springtime, wasn't there? Oh, yeah. In fact, well, for one thing, in the fall and the spring, I mean, you have students from all over the world, and there's only one sport that most people would think of when they think of the planet Earth. And as much as I would love to say it's football, I have to give the credit where credit's due and say that it's football, or soccer. Football spelled Futobl. B-O-L. Darn it! I can't believe I just spelled that wrong. Man, Futbol. Football. Man, I took Spanish. I should know that. I feel dirty now for that. But, there'd be pickup soccer games all over the place. I think there was one point where he had like 2 separate pickup soccer games going on at the quad at once. So that was cool. But easily the biggest thing that was going on was, believe it or not, we actually had sort of a softball league. Yep. And, of course, I can't play it because no one on the entire campus, for the life of me, has a spare right-handed glove. For you see, I am left-handed. And I can't really throw a ball. I can throw with my right hand, but let's be honest. My left hand is my dominant hand. And seriously, right-handed gloves are so incredibly hard to find because no one on earth is left-handed, apparently. Or at least no one out of like 300 people are left-handed. My goodness. That was unbelievable. But, yeah. So, there was actually, if you were a student like I was, who did sports all year round, got his work done, did theater and plays, you definitely had your hands full. In fact, pretty much every single student you could ever talk to from Trinity Poly can attest to this. And actually I mentioned this story as well. There have been car rides from Trinity Poly back to home where I would try and take a quote-unquote nap, and I was out for almost the entire 3.5-hour car ride home. Seriously, I think the longest time I was out was I'd fallen asleep. This is actually when winter break was happening. I had fallen asleep, and I hadn't, I think I'm in spring break. Darn, I forget. But anyway, I literally had fallen asleep, and I woke up, coming into Binghamton. Crazy, right? I didn't even mean to sleep that long either. It was just like that. Because Trinity Poly actually took a lot out of you. It does. You think you don't even notice it, but, it really, really does. And obviously there are some circumstances that come into play, The death of Andrew Einstein definitely plays a part in how students really were feeling for the vast majority of the remainder of the winter term and a good chunk of the spring term as well. So, yeah. There's actually so many varying factors about, what was going on or what you could do there that there really wasn't much shortage of anything that you could do. But of the things that I did that were extracurricular, the things I loved doing the most. And this is the part where a lot of my theater friends at Horseheads are going to start getting really jealous for me about this. But once a month, on Thursday, we would actually go to New York City and watch a Broadway show. I actually saw a lot of good shows there. I saw The Fantastics. I saw the 39 Steps. I saw, the one night only performance, it really wasn't that good, of A Tale of Two Cities. I saw In the Heights back before Lin-Manuel Miranda was Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh yeah, he starred in that play, and I saw him on stage. I'll never forget that experience. He was Usnavi! I love that play. Seriously, I think In the Heights is usually the best one I think we went to because, everyone, especially, the people I hung out with the most, particularly a certain actor from Chicago and a certain writer, director, star, and producer of the McDonald's Mafia, they, got the soundtrack and just listened to it for hours. It was awesome. So, yeah. I saw that. I actually saw West Side Story. West Side Story was good, but honestly, the two best ones I saw are In the Heights, and actually, the other one, I saw Guys and Dolls, which I had done Guys and Dolls. Guys and Dolls was the first play I did at Horseheads High School. So having done Guys and Dolls at Horseheads High School, only to actually see it on Broadway, obviously the experience is night and day, and don't get me wrong, I had a blast doing Guys and Dolls. I still remember all the best stuff to this day from doing that. But there really isn't anything like having done a play on one end and actually seeing it on Broadway on the other end. So, yeah. There was no shortage of excitement anywhere when I was at Trinity Poly. So, yeah. Man. It's start from the lowly freshman horseheads, and now we're getting to the end of, the school year for Trinity Pauling. Actually, yeah. Honestly, if I have one legitimate regret at Trinity Pauling was the year that I was at Trinity. Well, one legitimate regret I do have is the year I was at Trinity Pauling, because one thing I always looked forward to was, well, you know what? I'm gonna save it for a few days from now, and you'll know why. So until then, like, favorite, share, and subscribe. Follow me on the social media platforms. You know the drill. I am very humbled I made this video for all of you guys to watch and enjoy for today. I'm hopeful that we all have a wonderful hump day. No kidding, I was listening to the song Can't Hold Us, and the camel from the Hump Day commercials is actually in that music video. So that's awesome. So, if any of you guys ever want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend an ear, and I'll always have your back. Take care, and make good choices. Woo! Happy hump day, everybody.